Welcome to Coach's Corner, everyone. Thanks for watching the show. I'm your host, Paul Tripoli, and we have a special guest today, Mike Bodie. Mike, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Now, this show is brought to you by Hill Kelly Dodge. That's right, Hill Kelly and Sandy Sansing. Go see the boys over there. Go see Brad Bowes. I just talked to him a minute ago and told him to sell a couple cars. I want to thank Sandy Sansing for being my title sponsor. Mike, this is just an amazing story. I want to thank you for being on. It takes so much courage to do what you did. I grew up in the 70s, and I went to Bama and played in the 80s, and that's when the steroids were just hitting the roof. A lot of teammates and, a lot of players from all across the country doing them. You are the author of the book Resilience, My Journey of Mental Health and Faith. Here is the book right here. I read it. It's a great book, Mike. All right, let's get started. And then I want to start out by talking about your family, because I do that with all my guests. I want them to get to know you from the beginning, because your parents have, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Talk about where you grew up and mom and dad and any siblings.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Pensacola and moved here when I was like in first grade. So I call myself a true Floridian. My parents, my dad's a local business owner here in town. And so started his business back in 1984, still going today. He still works today, mid-70s. He's not going to slow down. My mom was in the healthcare industry for a little while, but then she came to work and then she started working for my dad. So, once his business took off, she came to work. And so we grew up, having both parents at home. Mom was at home. She was always taking us from, baseball practice to football practice to my sister. I have a brother. And so it's just been crazy. But, great family, great. My parents are both. So I have my dad, who is my stepdad, and my brother and I are the same age. So we're only 2 months apart.
Wow.
And so, but my brother is my dad's biological son from his previous marriage. And my sister is my dad's biological daughter from a previous marriage. And I'm the only son from my mom. Mm-hmm. But my mom and dad came together when my brother and I were 4 years old. 4 years old. Yeah. So all I've ever known is my dad. I mean, we may have different last names, but he's my dad. He raised me. He's taught me to be who I am today. As my dad would always say about my brother and I, it's like having twins at home, and it's like two squirrels. If one didn't find it, the other one would. And of course, I have a sister too. That's she's 2 years younger than us, and so the baby sister grew up in a house with two older brothers. So
you're all in sports, I had 4 boys in my family. We were all in sports, so our parents were taxi cab drivers back and forth all over. Interesting. You played football. Did you play other sports as a youth?
Yeah. So I played as a youth. I played everything. I mean, I played basketball, football. I tried soccer, was not my thing. And plus I played baseball. And so those were the 3 main sports that we did. I ran track. So in middle school, and that was it. We were, not to get off topic, but we didn't have the travel ball and the travel this and the travel that. We played a variety of sports, and my dad was always like, hey, I want you to play everything. If you enjoy it, keep playing. If not, find what you enjoy. And we played all the way up to college. And then I went off in college and I played ball in college.
Baseball. Talk about Coach Carl Madison and playing baseball in college.
So Carl Madison was the head coach when I came into Pine Forest. So it was my freshman year back in 86. I had to think about that for a second. So he was the head football coach when we came in. He was hard-nosed. I mean, he was a hard-nosed coach, but he was a great coach. And so, it's one of those you love him or hate him kind of guys.
Right.
But, you learned a lot from him. You learned, the discipline and so forth. And then baseball at Pine Forest, I played up under Coach Griffin. And so Coach Griffin was the coach there. Mm-hmm. And again, another great coach, another hard-nosed coach. We were coached differently than the way kids are coached today.
Right.
Today probably would not fly the way we were coached, and that's okay. I mean, things change,
Right.
but the things and the discipline and the accountability that we learned from these coaches and the coaches
Right.
I grew up with, it was phenomenal. And I think
Yeah.
today, looking at the generation, and I don't want to paint a broad brush and put everybody in the same bucket, but the people that I grew up with and guys I played sports with, even in college, I mean, we have a different mindset, and
Right.
it's get it done.
Yeah, there was those school, like I played for two of the toughest, George O'Leary and Coach Bear Bryant. I mean, you couldn't get any tougher than those two. But
Right.
they grew up under the World War II generation, which everything was militarized. They'd break you down and build you back up, that type of stuff. There was no pat on the backs. And I took the best of their qualities. I tried to as a coach, but I coached totally different than they did. I tried to have a relationship with the kids to get to know them and have their backs, and they could come through. My doors was always open. So it is a little bit different. Kids, you ask them to jump back in the day, and they say how high and how far. Now they say why so high and why so far. So, you have to give them explanation. All right, let's dive into your book, because it's really interesting to me. On page 10, you say the grip of addiction, whatever its form, speaks a common language of despair. But so does the voice of recovery speak a universal language of hope. Mike, tell our listeners how you got into steroids and how you came out of it and started your recovery.
So yeah, and what's crazy about it, growing up in sports and playing sports my whole life and going off to college and play sports, it was always around me, and it was something that I never really got into. But probably matter of fact, it's been 13 years now. I went through a divorce, and so as I was going through that divorce, I was really big in the gym. I still worked out. I still did the things. But I got into like doing bodybuilding shows and all that. And so, but to compete and do the things that I was doing, I knew that I needed that extra edge. And so I was like, oh, let me try this. Let me try that. Most people think, oh, when you're a child or you're a kid, that's when the people try it. But in reality, I was in my 40s, and all of a sudden here I am doing the things because it was my outlet. Right. So most people go through a divorce or something like that, and their outlet may be a bar, maybe this, maybe that. Mine was the gym. Mine was doing shows. And the next thing you know, I was literally taking 2 to 3 cc's of XYZ every single day. So I was doing that, and I was on the show. I mean, I was doing the bodybuilding shows. I mean, today I'm a lot smaller than I was then. I mean, I'd go on stage at 255 pounds with 3% body fat. I mean, I was a big dude.
Wow.
But
there's so many profound statements you have in the book, Mike. Just an unbelievable self-reflection. Put it out there, vulnerable. It takes courage to do that, because I know tons of people that cannot self-reflect. It says, I don't remember making the decision. It wasn't a lightning bolt moment, more like a quiet realization that I just can't do this anymore. The stop voice from God. Tell that story.
So, yeah, I mean, I will tell you, I was sitting in my apartment, and I was looking at, I had a glass table sitting down, and I literally had everything, all my steroids sitting right there on my glass coffee table. And I just got thinking about my daughters, and I got thinking about my life, and I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I going? And I just decided, you know what, done. And that was it. I just stopped. Well, it wasn't the smartest idea to do, because, now you're self-medicating. Now you're saying, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And as I stopped and went through that, it was a trying time, because it wasn't long after that is when I attempted suicide. And then when I attempted suicide there, to be very upfront, I had a 9mm in my mouth, and it was just a little bit of a voice that I heard. I mean, literally, I just heard God say, stop. No, just stop. And sitting there in that car at that moment, most people would probably understand this. You're watching a movie, and all of a sudden someone goes to get in a car wreck, and their whole life flashes before their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really what was there. And so I just decided, you know what? I went home, I put everything up. Um, I got packed a bag and went and checked myself into rehab.
Wow, unbelievable. That reminds me, Mike, so much of Mark Merrow's story, the famed world wrestler Johnny B. Bad. I got to pick up his book. He just finished a book, From Bad to Good. But he came on my show and told me a very similar story with a gun against his head, sliding down the shower. When he was going to hit the bottom, he was going to pull the trigger, and God stopped him right before. That's just an amazing story. Either you say on page 33, chapter 4, even after drugs were out of my system, addiction didn't leave quietly. I wasn't ready to believe that there was a life beyond. I wasn't ready for God to have a place in it. However, Pastor Ray talks have changed everything for me. Talk about the pastor that helped you through, and also about the former college football player that got through to you as well.
So we were in rehab, and they had a pastor there. And of course, I use fictional names just to be in the book.
Right.
And so, he was just talking, and he was like, Mike, one of the things that you got to realize is you got to give it to God. And I grew up in a spiritual home, so I understood what he was saying. It's just I didn't want to release it. I didn't want to come to the conclusion saying I had a problem.
Right.
And so we had conversations about that. And my roommate was a former NFL player. So he actually played NFL. He was in the NFL, and he was dealing with the same type of things that were going on in his life. And him and I just sat and talked. And first of all, he was a big guy. So we just sat and talked. And, one of the things that we just talked about was, hey, where are we going to be? Where are we going to be if we continue the life that we're going? And it was more of a reflection, right? So it was a self-reflection, to your point, to understanding, hey, there is a better way, and God does have a plan. And some people may, wherever people believe and wherever they stand with that, that's on them. I'm not the one that's going to beat somebody over the head with it, but I just know that God called me in a different direction. And luckily for me, I was able to hear that voice, and my roommate, same way.
Wow. Holy macaroni. Group therapy on page 54, you say group therapy force you to confront and unravel your deepest shame. That takes courage, my friend, Mike. How did you do it? And with a little help from your friends? Because you say on page 57, now I was learning the true resilience comes through connection. That vulnerability could be a form of courage. That leaning on others wasn't weakness, but wisdom. That's a profound statement, Mike. That's emotional maturity. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, growing up, and I mentioned earlier, coming from a divorced family, growing up, I didn't really have a lot to do with my biological dad. And, growing up as a young man, I felt like I had to do a lot of things on my own. Even though I had a great dad, trust me, phenomenal. But as a young man, you always ask yourself, why doesn't my dad really want to have anything to do with me, meaning biological dad?
Right.
But I felt like I had to do it all on my own. And I was very emotional. I grew up with anger. I grew up with madness. I'd much rather fight you than look at you. I enjoyed football. But growing up that way, when I got older, I was like, no, I'm not going to admit this. I'm going to fight this internally, and I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong answer. And so when God calls us to speak the words. Speak the words. When people talk about salvation, people talk about, this thing, they say, speak the words. Yeah. So I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I'm going to speak the words, and I'm really mad, and I'm going to speak what I think. After I spoke in the group session in rehab, the reflection, the vulnerability, the weight that came off of my shoulders, I can't explain it, but I will tell you, I was completely wore out. And I slept. I went back to my room and went to sleep after that. And I bet I slept for 13 hours.
Wow.
It was that much of a exhausted journey.
Wow. Mike, on page 58, you say self-reflection, self-assessment. I think it takes courage, but it is powerful. Dougie Baldwin, I'll give you, since we're both sports fans in this sports show, I'll give you an example of Dougie Baldwin said in Sports Illustrated years ago. Now, here's a kid out of Gulf Breeze High School, 5'10", 165, 170 pounds. and he goes to Stanford. Smart kid, gets his degree, plays well enough to get a chance in the pros. And I think he played 8-10 years in the NFL. And he said self-reflection was his engine, literally was his engine to his success and overachievement. But he had to look within himself. And you say, this is your words, I quote, I chose vulnerability over isolation, honesty over self-protection, and connection over control. Mike, I know adults that can't do this in relationships.
It's a challenge. It's tough, but it's something I have to work on every day. It's again, it's been 13 years. And people don't like this saying, but it's reality, is once an addict, always an addict. But it's about, what are you going to do each day?
Yeah.
Each day I battle something each day. And so I have to reflect each morning. I have to reflect, we've all heard the saying, there's a reason the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror.
That's right.
You're not meant to look in the rearview mirror while you're driving, and you're not meant to look backwards while you're living life. It's not what we're called to do. And so it's about looking at it from a perspective of where are you going in life? Where do you want to be? It's not about money. It's not about having the things and all that, but it is literally, where do you want to be each and every day? And you have to have that reflection, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and realize each day's different. Each day's a day, but you can't worry about today. I mean, you can't worry about tomorrow.
Right.
You can't worry about yesterday.
Right. Exactly. I don't know who said it, but if you're always living in the past, thinking about the past, it's going to make you depressed. If you're always thinking about the future and what's going to happen tomorrow, you're going to be anxious. It's going to make you anxious. Living in the present gives you the peace and the joy. That's where it goes. Wow. Let's talk football, man. Let's talk football. Talk about some of your teammates in high school and even your baseball teammates in college, and talk about some coaches that had a positive influence in your life.
So, there was a coach at Palm Forest. His name, he has now passed on. He actually drowned, saving a young man out at Navy Point years ago. His name was Coach McSwain.
Wow.
And a phenomenal coach. I mean, talking about positivity. I mean, he was his son. I still keep up with his son. Him and I, we still talk occasionally. But just phenomenal coach. I mean, one of those coaches where he just realized that, hey, look, if you grow up in sports, you realize probably 2% of the people you play sports with across are going to make it to either NFL or Major League. 2%, and I'm being nice there.
Yeah.
So, but what are you learning growing up? And so that's what he was always teaching, but he was also strong in his faith. I mean, he didn't push it on us, but he was like, hey, where are you going? He stands out tremendously. And then also, my college coach, he was always, again, wanting Coach Potter, and he was always wanting to just build you as a man, because again, once you get to college, then you can narrow it down. About 1% of the people you play ball with will make it and of course we played baseball, but it's the resilience, right? It's the pressure. Because one of the things I didn't mention is in high school, I never made the baseball team.
Wow.
I played baseball in high school when we had fall ball, spring ball, but I never made the high school team. The high school benches never knew my name.
Wow.
But I loved the game, and I kept doing it until I got to college. Then when I went to college, I tried out. My freshman year in college, I tried out. I did not make the team. I was a walk-on. Did not make it. So I thought, okay, I have an idea. I'm going to become the manager of the team. Gives me opportunity to practice, gives me opportunity to be in front of coaches, gives me opportunity for coaches to understand my endurance, everything else, right? Yeah. So that's what I did. My sophomore year, I ended up making the team.
Wow. Holy macaroni, spaghetti, and pasta vazul. You have resilience, man. It's in you. It's inside you. You're born with it. God brought it out in you. And, I think it was President Calvin Coolidge who said, persistence is omnipotent. Nothing is better than persistence. Knowledge is not. There's a bunch. This world is full of educated derelicts. The only resilience and persistence will last a lifetime. All right, so you're a Georgia boy. I don't know how'd you be a Georgia boy? How'd you become a Bulldog fan?
So my family is from Augusta, Georgia. So
Okay.
That's where my grandparents lived. Now my whole family are Cajuns. And they're all LSU fans, right? And so growing up, I again always the one who wants to be different. Some of your listeners may remember this. Back in the day, Coke made Coke bottles with the team logo on the front, and it had the team schedule on the back, right? From the previous year, and all the scores and all that good stuff, right?
Yep.
Well, this particular, and I still have the Coke bottle today in my office. And it was a Coke bottle of a Georgia that my dad brought home. It had the scores on the back, but the person who was on the Coke bottle was Herschel Walker.
Oh my gosh. I got a few Coach Bryant ones, but I've never seen a Herschel Walker one.
And so it was, and I was like, huh. So this was 1980, I think it was 82, 83.
Yep.
And so I was like, and I watched a game with Herschel Walker, and I was a running back. And so I said, you know what? I like Georgia. And that's where it started.
Wow. Holy cow. It's funny how that works. Man, it's big game, big Alabama game. And have you do my picks. What's your role in the Sandy Sansing team? What's next for Mike Bodie?
So, I retired from the company I was with after 21, 22 years, and I've been in marketing and advertising for the last, my whole career, 30 years when I graduated college. And so I've done that. And so I've worked with Sandy and them my whole career outside. And so when I retired, I had an opportunity to come here and help them with their digital marketing. And so I helped them with their digital marketing as a 1099 employee kind of thing. And so I work with them here, had a phenomenal time here and love Sandy. He's a great guy.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
But what's next for me is, I just continue to do my speaking engagements. I speak. I teach leadership classes. I teach sales classes. And then I go speak at different places. I mean, I spoke not too long ago, especially on mental health, in the workplace.
Right.
So and I continue to write my books. And, I have 9 books out right now. So.
Oh my gosh, Mike, holy macaroni. Wow, that's amazing. Good for you, man. Good for you. I'm so proud of you, man. Living your best life. Your girls are back in the fold, your family. I know addiction and can tear a family apart, and divorce is ugly, ugly death. I know for myself twice over. So I'm not going 0 for 3, and I'm not going to go 1 for 3 either. I'm not a baseball player. I'm not going for that 333 average. It's done. But wow, God's in your life, man. Thanks, Mike. I got 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
What's the advice for anybody out there that's fighting addiction and having trouble right now?
Realize that you will get through it. It's not easy. It's tough, and you're not going to do it alone.
Yes.
You're not going to do it alone. And so if someone, and I share this all the time, if you're sitting there and you think you're going to do it alone, I'm not going to say never, but I'm a pretty good product of it. It's going to be tough. So find someone that you can communicate with. Find someone that you can lean on. Find someone that's going to hold you accountable. I have my accountability partner.
Awesome. Next question, the last one. Who would be great to have on the show here, have on Coach's Corner? Who would be a good guest?
I think that, and we mentioned this earlier, Bert Thornton, who is CEO, COO of Waffle House. Phenomenal guy. Phenomenal. He's written some books. Find you an old gorilla is one of his books. It's about mentorship. And so, if he would be one that great speaker, great communicator, and great leader.
Awesome, Mike. So proud of you, man. So proud of you. Thanks for being on the show, dude. And we'll see you up at Sandy Sansing soon, hopefully. Have a great week. Thanks, Mike. Peace, brother. Wow. Mike Bodie's story. Man, a story of resilience. There's this book right here, Story of Resilience. And I guess it's just one of his 8 books already. Anyway, great guy, man. I mean, just can learn so much from him. Sports guy, and I want to thank him for being on the show. I want to thank Sandy Sansing. Thank all my great sponsors, man. Without them, this just wouldn't be possible. Stay tuned for their message. Thanks for watching the show. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. So long, everybody.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.
That's you trying to fix the plumbing yourself to save a few bucks. Doing things yourself doesn't always end well. The same goes for insurance. That's why Auto Owners works with local independent agents who tailor coverage to meet your needs and offer discounts for life, home, car, and business insurance. Because sometimes you need a professional to get the job done right. That's simple human sense.
When it comes to buggies and golf carts, nobody does it like Buggy Works. Hi, I'm JP Wibbs. We've got the largest selection of golf carts on the Gulf Coast. We have a brand new 10,000 square foot state-of-the-art service center and showroom to keep you rolling. We're right here in the heart of Car City at 5831 Pensacola Boulevard. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturdays 9 to 3. Check us out at buggyworks.com. Buggy Works. Come by and see why we're the #1 Denago dealer in the nation.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray, and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
When it comes to buying your next car, truck, or SUV, you need a team that puts you first. Here at the Sandy Sansing dealerships, we're proud to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast with the best selection, trusted service, and deals that work for your family. Just like great coaches build great teams, Sandy Sansing builds lasting relationships with every customer who walks through our doors. Because when it comes to finding your next vehicle, there's only one name to remember. Sandy Sansing can.
25 years of service and high tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than the simple painted brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.